So we're starting to get ready now to live stream Arts of the Islamic World in India, the Sotheby's auction today, April 26th. One more painting from the Shahnameh of Shah Tahmasb is back up for sale. And this time I'm here with my mom, the expert on this manuscript, and so she's gonna help us gather all of the information we need to really understand the magnitude of this moment and this sale. We have evidence and catalogs and history and all of it. So that's what we're going to try to identify about this specific painting. And so what is this painting, Mom? Tell us.
Well, it's a very exciting day today because this is one of the paintings that was sold in 1988. Now, from the last sale that you were live at and you videoed, that painting was also from this October 11th, 1988 sale. That was a very important sale in the life of this manuscript because it was a disaster. Nothing went anywhere close to its high estimates. And after that, it was very, very disappointing. The Houghton family who owned it at the time got a lot of very bad press for selling more of the folios because obviously, as you know, in 1976, the 7 folios had done very well at Christie's. And so 14 were put at auction in October 88. And so several of those went to, for example, 3 went to the David collection. And so most of them we knew where they were. The one from last year and the one today were sold privately. So that's very exciting because up until now we had no idea where they were. Now, not only do we have these back on the market, but we have more information about them. And my guess is that it probably won't be bought by a private person, and it'll go hopefully to an institution or a museum where it can be seen. Like the one last year, what is going to be extraordinary is the difference between this sale and 1988. As I mentioned, it was a very bad sale, and this painting was estimated at 30 to 50,000 pounds. And it sold at the hammer price of 42,000 pounds. So what we get today is we keep in mind that the hammer price last time was 42,000 pounds, and now it is estimated at 4 to 6 million. So you can imagine just how this manuscript is doing.
Well, there's already a bid before the auctions even started for 2.8 million British pounds. So, like we just said, the original buyer bought this painting at auction in 1988 for 42,000 pounds, which means even if it goes for 2.8 million pounds now, that is already close to a 6,500% profit margin alone on this painting, and it's expected to go higher and higher and higher. So whoever bought this in 1988 made an extraordinary investment. They got this for the most insane discount you can imagine. So what is important to also know, as we talked about earlier, is that with this manuscript, with this painting, the story of every single painting is important because the ones that were not donated to the Met or to any other museum were specifically sold in auction and privately, which means that these, how many, 40 or 50 of them?
Yes.
Approximately 40 or 50 of these paintings, essentially, unless they're donated to a museum in the future, will always be essentially owned privately and therefore could at any time come back up for resale. So that's why it's so exciting when one comes up, is because it means that whoever has had one of these paintings wants to put it up for sale, and it's now clear that at any time this goes up for sale, the price will go up. It's already set unprecedented records for Islamic art, Persian art. It's some of the most expensive auctions in Islamic art history. probably the most.
Yeah, the difference here is because some of the other ones that were sold privately, we know which private collection. This one and the one from last year, it was unknown. So it says European collection. So this has been completely hidden. Other private collectors, such as the Nasser Khalili collection in London, they have exhibited their folios. The Art and History Foundation, the Sudavar, they have exhibited their folios. The Ebrahimi, this is the Sackler. But this one, and now there's maybe two or three left now that we still don't know where they are. So one by one, as the ones that were completely unknown and private come up for auction, it actually does help to reconstruct the manuscript as we're trying to do.
Let's talk about this. This is the original catalog from the October 11th, 1988 auction at Christie's in London. So this includes the history and the information of how those original paintings were presented back then, and it's annotated, and it's a key part of the research. So this is the one from today, right?
Yes.
So this is the one that the estimate was between 30,000 and 50,000 pounds then, and it sold for 42,000. So already it's how many times? Already 1,000 times at least of the estimate. Like we're talking now in the millions, 4 to 6 million pound range. So, and this one, what does this painting depict, by the way?
This is the story of the Bizhan and the Bizhan and Manijeh cycle. It's called actually the 12 Ruchs. And of these, there's 12 illustrations of this narrative cycle. And they are scattered. 7 of this cycle are at the Met, 2 are at the Tomoka in Tehran. 1 is with the Art and History Foundation. And then this one, the private one, is actually lodged between several folios of narrative, and those folios of narrative are in Tehran. So this is the story of Bizhan, the hero, and this is the Battle of the Turanians. And Stuart Carey Welsh attributed this to the artist Bashdan Qara, and specifically he does mention that he was particularly good at intricate design. So you see these gorgeous differentiation of horses and the tiny patterns of the arabesques, and you just look at the color and the movement in that. So the original is obviously, if you can see it, Sotheby has done actually very good photographs of it, so you can see the gold, where the gold is, and it's going to be very, very exciting.
So the auction has just started, and he's introducing the rules and the bids and all that, going through the ceremony, and already we can see that they've presented this Shahnameh painting directly above the auctioneer, because they've really made this the front centerpiece of this entire auction. So they had a whole, the days leading up to this Sotheby's auction, they had it on display in a big room. The public, could just walk up and see it in person. So very, very interesting.
And there was someone giving a history of the manuscript, and they'd set it up on a sort of a pedestal, and people had lined up to listen to the specialist talking about it.
The milestone moments are, of course, the moment Arthur Houghton gave the first batch of paintings to the Met.
Yes.
And then, of course,
76 folios, 78 paintings.
78 paintings. And then in 1976, the first auction in November 1976 at Christie's in London, where the first 7 were sold, and then, or 7 were sold. And then that was the auction where one of the paintings sold for 200 and...
Right, the 7 folios made over £1 million. So when in 88, 14 didn't even make £1 million and
Yeah.
didn't reach any of their estimates.
Exactly.
It was a very big disappointment.
So that's exactly right. So seeing 1976 as the milestone moment where everybody realized how valuable these could be, 1988 auction is essentially the counterpoint of that, where for the first time, because it seems people sort of caught on to the fact that there are actually hundreds of these paintings, it deflated all of the momentum and all of the sort of mystique behind the paintings. And so it sort of took all of the wind out of the sails from those values. And so the people who bought paintings at that auction in 1988, like in this catalog, they were the ones who got exceptionally good bargains for these paintings. And that's exactly what we're seeing here, is someone who bought this painting for £42,000 in 1988 and is already expected to make at least a 6,500% profit margin. If this even sells, even if it sells at its reserve, it'll be way higher than that. So that's why it's such an extraordinary moment. And so each auction is its own chapter in the larger saga, and all roads lead to this one book.
And when the Cary Welsh folio was sold for such a high price, everybody assumed that because it was his, and he was the connoisseur of this manuscript, that's what gave it value, which it did. But then following that, the others have been matching and coming up close. So it is this manuscript itself and the paintings themselves, and no longer who owned them, that is making the prices.
Exactly. And so as you said, we don't know. The bidders are anonymous unless they're in the room, really.
And the provenance, the last provenance is anonymous too, the private.
Yes.
We don't know who's selling it.
So that's the other layer of mystery behind this, is that many of these paintings were indeed bought at auction, but that doesn't necessarily explain who bought them and where they are or where they're coming from. So even as much information as we do know about this manuscript and all the paintings and where they all went and how they come together, there is always this perpetual layer of we actually don't know the full story, and it's all being discovered and put together for the first time. That's a lot of the work that you're doing, is reassembling it in a way that we can connect all of the dots as to what happened to this book, where all of the paintings went, how much each one is valued at, and what each painting separately, which story it tells, and how they all connect to the larger story of the Shahnameh, and how that in turn tells us so much about Persian art, Persian culture, and how it's bought and sold and acquired by the art world. It's just a fascinating story. It's completely, it's full of so many twists and turns that's obviously how I got hooked on it, was learning more about just how much you dedicated to this subject, and how it seems to attract some very, 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 larger than life characters and institutions. You will not believe where this book has gone and traveled to, and it's an ongoing saga.
I just hope that after it's sold, we'll know who bought it, and that that we'll have access to it.
Yeah.
I just hope that it won't just disappear in some private collection again, and nobody will get to see it. Because what the Met does with its folios is every 3 months it changes out 14 of them and displays them. And all their folios are on their website. So that, I think, is just wonderful, the way they have made those folios accessible to the public.
Not yours, it's 75.
Okay, we're coming up. It's the next lot. The Bizhan slays Nastihan from the Shahnameh of Shah Tahmasb. Here we go. Okay. Okay, hang on.
41. Now, here we go. Shahnameh.
Oh.
Wonderful leaf here. And I'll go up in smaller denominations, but £3 million. £3 million. That's £3 million. 3,000,001. 3,100,000. 3,100,000. 3,200,000. 3,300,000. Can you go up a minute? 3,300,000. 3,400,000.
3,400,000.
500,000.
3,500,000.
3,600,000.
3,600,000.
3,700,000.
Ooh.
It's going up fast.
3,800,000.
Oh.
3,900,000.
Oh.
3,900,000. 3,900,000.
No.
Big decisions. 3,900,000. Let's do both. 3,900,000.
And this includes the text as well. The
That's
back.
the back, yes.
The back.
I'll wait a bit.
Oh,
3,900,000.
this would be a real upset.
Say 4?
Huh? No.
4 million.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
4 million pounds.
Last time that's where it lulled as well.
Take 100,000. 4 million.
Oh.
Bid still here with Benny and selling for 4 million.
Wow.
Whoa.
4 million pounds.
On the phone.
And selling for 4 million.
Fair warning. Oh no.
Let's see.
Franklin.
Oh.
4 million then, still with Benny at 4 million pounds and selling for 4 million pounds. Short of 4 million then.
Oh.
Yes, bid and sell for 4 million pounds.
Oh my god. What?
42.
Oh shit!
Man.
It went for the minimum reserve of £4 million. It did not go as high as the last auction did. And now someone has just bought a folio from the Shahnameh of Shah Tahmasb for £4 million hammer price, which what was the final 4.8 was the final lot sold.
So
4,800,700 4,875,800 pounds for the latest Shahnameh of Shah Tahmasb folio. A stunning upset and a steal.
a steal.
And yeah, Mom, what's your reaction?
Well, I wonder if it's because it's one of the younger artists, Bashdan Qara, because obviously the ones that they attribute, well, Stuart Carey Welsh attributed to the more famous artists like Agha Mirak or Mir Musawwar, they go a lot higher. And I wonder just how much people knew about it. But still, I mean, from 42,000 to
Yeah,
1
let's
million.
do the profit calculator.
Okay.
So let's see, 42,000 is sold for who's it? The hammer price 4 million.
Hammer price was 4 million.
So that's already 9,423% profit margin made on this for the seller. So ultimately, I think it's actually a win-win for everybody. It's definitely a win for the buyer. I'm sure they obviously want, or for the seller. The buyer got a great, I think, still a good
Yes.
deal on this
Definitely.
because the price of these paintings will only go up and up and up forever, effectively. But for also the seller, obviously, I'm sure they wanted the most possible. I'm sure they wanted that £6.5 million for it. But £4 million for one sheet of paper is still quite impressive. And only in the art world would such a thing be possible. But that's the latest. It went up very quickly, and then it just stayed at 4 million, and then it just didn't go up from there.
Whereas the other one did the same.
Yeah.
and then it inched back up. So let's see. Wonder who got it.
We're gonna find out hopefully in the next couple of weeks or months where it ultimately went, who the buyer was, and we're gonna add it to my
To the
mom's
reconstruction.
to the archive, to the reconstruction. And honestly, it's still a very there's still so much about this book that is fascinating to track. And right now, who knows when the next folio will be up for sale? It could be months, it could be years, but we will be here when it
But
does.
still, 4 million is a tempting. If someone private has another one, 4 million I think is tempting enough, because they would have bought it,
Yeah.
you know, for if not this low at 42 in 1988. There are still one or two private ones from that sale, but and also it's because you know, the more we know about the artist, because for example, they said this about the Tehran 118 Tehran folios as well, because there's this belief that the ones that were sold first, or the ones that were donated or gifted to the Met, were the better ones, which isn't true. Some of them are by the older artists, the more known artists, but certainly, as you will see with the Instagram and the YouTube channel that we're doing, as we go through the ones one by one, you will see that the ones in the Tehran Museum of Contemporary Art are as extraordinary as all the earlier ones that were sold. So
Very interesting.
very, very interesting.
And looking forward to the next one.
Yes.